Hey guys, so here are your 12.1 notes for sequences. For the first example, the directions are going to say find the first 6 terms of the sequence. Now, this notation, a term just means numbers in a list. And so the first term is denoted a sub 1. The little 1 means it's the first number in the list. And so to find it, I'm just going to make n be 1, so I'm going to plug 1 in for n. And this rule over here says to do 2 times whatever n is, so 2 times 1 plus 1. In this case, 2 times 1 is 2, 2 plus 1 is 3, and so the first number in my list is 3. That's my first term, that's my a sub 1. And now if I want to find a sub 2, I do 2 times 2 plus 1. I'm replacing the 2 in for the n. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. So the next number in my list is 5. This is my a sub 1, this is my a sub 2. Just the way to keep track of which number in the list it is. And then a sub 3, 2 times 3 plus 1. 2 times 3 is 6, plus 1 is 7. So a sub 3 is 7. And now, because we're following a pattern here, we're following a rule, you might notice that every time I go up, I'm going up by 2. And so I would expect that a sub 4 would be 9 because I'm going up by 2 each time. And a sub 5 would be 11. And a sub 6, my 6th term, would be 13. So each one of these are terms, which means just like numbers in a list, basically. And you can either find it with the formula, or after you start seeing a pattern, you can find it by just filling in the pattern. In this case, it's going up by 2 each time. The next problem asks us to find the nth term. Now when you see these directions, it's just another way of saying find the rule or the formula to get this numbers or these numbers in the list. So the first thing you're going to do is look for the pattern. So here I notice that each time it's going up by 3. 4 plus 3 is 7. 7 plus 3 is 10. 10 plus 3 is 13. So my pattern is that I'm adding 3 every time. Now I know that adding over and over again, like 3 plus 3 plus 3 plus 3, repeated addition is the same as multiplication. That's the same as 3 times 4. And so that gives me a little hint in my formula that if I have repeated addition, then I'm going to need to have multiplication in my formula. So I'm going to say a sub n. In this case, it's going to be 3 each time, so 3n. Okay. And now I need the 0 term to be here, because if you check your work, like if I guessed a sub n equals 3n, and I was going to check and see if this is right, a sub 1 equals 3 times 1, which is 3. And that's close, it's almost the right answer, but we want this to be a 4 because the 4 was the first number in the list. And so to get it to be a 4, we'd have to add 1 to it to make it equal 4, which means we would have to add 1 to our formula to make this work out. Now, that 1 is really the 0th term. It's a sub 0. And you notice if I go back 3 in my list, I would be at 1 because 4 minus 3 is 1. So this number here is the number that you add by each time, or maybe subtract, and this number here is your 0th term. And then you can check your work. For instance, if I find a sub 2, 3 times 2 plus 1, well that's 6 plus 1, which is 7, and sure enough, my a sub 2, my second number in my list that I'm given, is a 7, so it works. So this right here is the formula for the nth term. Now, to get a little more practice like that on different types of number problems, here, I'm not adding by the same amount each time because here I add 2, and then I add 4, and then I add 8. So I'm not adding by the same amount each time, but I am multiplying by the same amount. Times 2, times 2, 4 times 2 is 8, 8 times 2 is 16, 16 times 2 is 32, which is nice. So my pattern is that I'm multiplying by 2 each time. Now recall that when you multiply by the same number over and over again, that's the same as an exponent. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2 is the same as 2 to the 4th. Now this gives me again a little hint as to what my formula is going to be. Since repeated multiplication is a power, I'm going to have a sub n equals 2 to the n. And if I check it, I get a sub 1 equals 2 to the first, which is 2. That works. That's my first number in my list. If I checked another one, a sub 2 equals 2 squared, because I'm plugging the 2 in for the n. And I get 4, which sure enough is my second answer in my list. So a sub n equals 2 to the n. So repeated addition, we use multiplication in our formula. Repeated multiplication, we're going to use an exponent in our formula. Okay. Another example of this, since these ones are kind of tricky, we had a hard time in class with them today. Now notice here, 1 times 2 is 2, and 2 times 2 is 4. And so we have this pattern of multiplying by 2 again. The only problem now is instead of starting at 2, our list is starting at a half. So our a sub 1 should be a half, and our a sub 2 should be 1, and our a sub 3 should be 2. Okay, so we're getting the same exact numbers in this list. The list is just starting earlier. Okay, there's a couple of ways you can get your formula for this. The first one is, if I make a sub n equal 2 to the n like I did before, then my a sub 1 is going to equal 2 to the first, which is 2. Now if you look at, this is what my formula is giving right now, this is what I want. So I need to do something to the 2 to make it become a half. Or if you had a sub 2 equals 2 squared equals 4, I need to do something to the 4 to make it become a 1. Well, it's the same thing both times. What we want to do to 4 to make it become a 1 is divide by 4. 4 divided by 4 is 1. And here, I want to divide by 4 also, because 2 over 4 is the same as a half. So one way I could fix this formula is I could realize, oh, I just need to divide all my numbers by 4. So I'm going to divide my formula by 4. And then that should give me the right things, because 2 to the first is 2, and then if I divide that by 4, I really do get a half, which is correct. Same thing if I do a sub 3, 2 cubed over 4. Well, let's see, 2 cubed is 8. Divided by 4 is 2, and sure enough, 1, 2, that's my third number in my list, which works. Oops, let me zoom out a little bit there, sorry. Another way, another formula you can use for this is you can think of scooting backwards and forwards in your list. So 2 to the n gave us 2, 4, 8, 16. And so really, I just want to scooch my list backwards, right? So that it starts with a half instead of starting with 2. So I need to like move it back a little bit. And so you could also think, let's see, basically it's 2 spots that I want to move it back. So it's a sub n equals 2 to the n minus 2. And then you could check that with any random number. For instance, if I checked it with a sub 3, I'd have 2 to the 3 minus 2, okay, which is 2 to the first, which is 2. And it gave me the right number for a sub 3. So you can either think of your exponent as scooting back in the list, or you can think of it as dividing out to make it match up for you. Either way you do it is right. They're actually equivalent. You just have to make sure that you fix it so that when you check your work, it matches up with the numbers in the list. All right, guys, for a little bit of extra practice before tomorrow's quiz, what I'm going to have you do right now is on your notes, maybe on the back of your notes, would you guys copy down the following problems and then pause the video and then do the problems by yourself, and then you're going to restart the video and I'll show you the answers. Okay, so the problems I want you to do, practice problems. The first one is 5, 1, -3, -7. I want you to find the nth term or the formula for this one. Okay. The second practice problem I want you to do is 1, 3, 9, 27. And the third practice problem I want you to do is 1/4, 1, 4, 16, etc. All right? So pause the video right now, do these practice problems, And then once you get done, turn the video back on and you can check your answers. All right, so if you're just coming back from having it paused, 5 to 1 is going down by 4. 1 to negative 3 is going down by 4, so we're subtracting 4 each time. The one that would have come before 5 is 9, my 0 term. So the formula for here would be a sub n equals negative 4n plus 9. Okay. I notice here the pattern is multiplying by 3 each time. So I know this is going to be a power of 3, 3 to the n. And now I need to see if it works. So a sub 1 is 3 to the first. Well, that's 3. It's close, but I want it to be a 1. And so I know that if I just divide this by 3, then I'm going to get a 1, which tells me that I can divide my formula by 3 to get a 1 there. Or I can think of it as stepping back in the list. So you could also say 3 to the n minus 1, and that would be an acceptable answer also. All right, the next one, I notice that I'm multiplying by 4 each time. These are all powers of 4. Okay, so I'm going to do a sub n equals 4 to the n. And then I'm going to check my work. So a sub 1 equals 4 to the 1. That starts me out at 4. Now, crud, I need to get it to be 1/4. So what do I divide 4 by to be 1/4? Well, 4 goes into 16 4 times. So I want to divide this by 16. Okay. Or I could think of it as stepping back in the list by 2. So this would be 4 to the n minus 2. Either one of these answers is totally acceptable. All right, guys, if you have more questions than this, Mr. Danielson will be here in the morning, so you can ask him for help. And good luck on your quiz, and I will see you guys on Monday. Thanks.